Okay, so today I'm going to talk about my experience playing Pokemon Platinum. Now, I decided to go back and play Pokemon Platinum because I never beat it when I was younger. Yes, I never beat the game when I was younger. So I was like, let me go back and actually beat the game so I can have an idea of what the experience was. What did I actually miss out on? And so when I did this, I never expected to feel the way I do now. I thought I was gonna go in, have a great experience, and enjoy the game, and be like, "Wow, I did it! I went all the way and I beat the final boss in the Elite Four, which everyone always said was super hard." When I tell you this experience was nothing, I mean nothing like how I expected. So here's what happened, right? I go and I'm playing the game and I start noticing all these things that I guess I never paid attention to when I was younger, and also because I didn't play that many other monster taming games. Granted, keep in mind I'm going back and playing an older game. I'm playing an actual older game. So some of this stuff might have affected my judgment because now I'm playing newer games, and so there's a lot more modernization, right? But then again, I do remember there were other games before this that did not bother me as much. I'm gonna let you know right now that my reviews are more critical when it's a high budget game because they have a team and way more funding behind the project. I'm less harsh to games that have lower budgets and one person or a few people working on it, especially if they're new. So just keep that in mind. So the first thing I'll say is, as far as story, I was very underwhelmed with the story for this game. It felt very generic. For a Pokemon game, that's saying a lot because they usually don't have a spectacular story to begin with. But I'm just gonna give that a 6. I'm gonna give the story for Pokemon Platinum a 6. I was not impressed with the story. Like a 7 is like okay in my opinion. So I'm giving this a 6. All right, that's just my personal opinion from my experience. The visuals were good, but I wouldn't exactly call them memorable because like I said before, it felt like it didn't really stand out compared to other Pokemon games I played, both previous and future, right? It didn't stand out to me. And so I will give the visuals an 8. They were good, especially the best part of the visuals was, like, honestly, Giratina's Rift area. That was probably the best part of the whole visuals. That was something that was new and different for me. As far as function and bugs, when I played the game, when I played the whole game, I didn't come across any bugs or malfunctions and stuff like that. The game ran smooth, there was no problem. So I'll give that a 10. When I do this, I try to be fair. I'm going to give the game a 10 when it comes to bugs, okay? As far as enjoyment, oh, brother. I'm gonna put that a low 5, okay? That's me being generous, actually. I want to give a lower score, but I don't want to be like, over the top. Okay, so I'm gonna give it a 5 because I did finish the game. I wanted to quit. In all honesty, I wanted to stop playing Platinum because I got so frustrated and I was so mad. I was so mad because of how slow I felt like the XP rate was. I don't know if it was just like the right mons weren't there or what did they change things up? I have no idea. But the XP rate felt so incredibly slow, even with XP share, even with using tactics to try to gain XP faster. It felt so incredibly slow. I was like, do they hate the player? Do they actually hate their own audience the way to design this game? So the bottom line is I wanted to stop playing, but I figured I could turn this bad experience into a video to where somebody might listen to this and be like, hey, that guy had a horrible experience playing Platinum too. Yes, yes, I did, and I do not want to play Platinum ever again. Moving on to the next category, creativity. I was actually going to give this a lower score, but then I remembered, wait a minute, you have to be fair on this, so I'm not going to lie. This game did bring some creativity with the mini games and the new app feature that they introduced into the series, like the thing, I think it was like a watch or something that could do all these different types of stuff. So I'm going to give it an 8 because they did bring something new. They did bring something new, so I'm not going to lie on them, all right? So I'll give it an 8 on that. Now, as far as game features, at the time this game came out, the features were definitely solid. I'm not going to lie, the features were solid at the time this game came out. So I'm not going to bash that part at all. I'm going to give them an 8 on this one, okay? I'm going to try to be fair. Now, as far as challenge, the way this game applied challenge was terrible in my opinion. It felt like the developers were focused on inconveniencing the player at every opportunity instead of just making the NPCs difficult to face. I also noticed so much that the move pool for a lot of the monsters were horrible. A lot of these monsters had horrible move pool. And so like using a TM was like a life crutch. Okay, like it was like a lifeline, putting a TM on any monster. Because so many of them had a horrible move pull. Not even just that. I realized why in this like genre, this series or games like Brilliant Diamond and all that stuff, I realized why people usually end up getting the same team. Because when you compare the usual team like Lucario, what's it called, Star Raptor, you know what I'm talking about. When you compare the usual team, right? They are so much better, move pull wise and stat wise. They are so much better than like a majority of all the other choices. That's why players feel like they have no other choice but to choose those to beat the game because there's that much of a gap in their potential. So for challenge, I'm just going to give them a 6, right? And that's me being generous once again. Now, as far as guidance, I could not give this game a 7 or higher on guidance because there were multiple times I had to look up online what to do next. I also realized that older Pokemon games had a bad habit of this, and that online forums has helped the franchise a lot. And I do mean a lot. Because if people weren't able to look up all this information, they would probably get frustrated and stop playing. Granted, sometimes they want you to figure stuff out on your own, but I feel like I wasn't even given proper clues and hints in the right direction. I had to just like ballpark it, guess, and I was not about to do that, especially not for an older game. The next category is dialogue. For dialogue, I would say it was passing, but not really interesting compared to other games. I played other Pokemon games, and this dialogue did not keep me interested at all. I'll just give it like a 7. Once again, being overly generous. Now, as far as the last category, once again, I feel like I'm being overly generous. I really feel like I'm being overly generous here. Because me personally, you see me right here? I would not replay this game at all. I don't ever want to replay Pokemon Platinum. I had a terrible experience playing this game. It felt like I was doing a chore. Games should not feel like you're doing a chore to complete them. Games should be enjoyable. Pokemon Platinum was not enjoyable. So I will give the replay value a 5. Once again, being overly generous. If anybody did play Pokemon Platinum and let's say for example it's their favorite game, I have no idea why. Because out of all the games that Pokemon has released, I feel like Pokemon Platinum should be somewhere at the bottom. That is including Diamond and Pearl. I feel like those 3 games should be very low on the tier list of great Pokemon games. The last thing I'll say is that if anyone's wondering, I believe like whatever games come in between Platinum and Sword and Shield, I have not played those games. So if you actually want me to play those games and give my opinion on it, just let me know, and I'll try to be honest.
If you enjoyed watching this video, be sure to subscribe and like and share. Find out what happens next time on the OFC.